potential. The next conversation is moderated by Vasudha Venugopal. Let me please request our panelists to come on stage. Please put your hands together for Nilanjana Das Majumdar, G.K. Mahantesh, Radhika Alkazi, and Nipun Malhotra.
Hello everybody. In the last few years, during my conversations with parents of children with disability, one thing that's remained constant is the sense of anxiety and fear and apprehension that will our kids fit into the school that they're going to? Will they be accepted by their peers? Will they be understood by their teachers? And whatever I'm doing, is it enough or not? I know that there are systems that need to be improved, and inclusive education is not just charity, it's a necessity. And it's really nice that we have a panel of guests here who are working towards just making our approaches inclusive. We have with us Nilanjana Das Majumdar, who's the HOD of Additional Learning Support Pathway School. We have with us G.K. Mahantesh, who's a founder of Samarthanam Trust for the Disabled. We have Radhika Alkazi, founder and managing trustee, Astha. Astha is an NGO that's been working in Delhi for several years. They come out with some wonderful reports on policy. And we have Nipun Malhotra, founder of Nipan Foundation and director TQH. Thank you, all of you. Across those barriers, Radhika, I have seen through, I went through some of your reports, and Astha comes up with these very important reports that talk about the existing barriers in government schools. Disability is so much about resources as well, and you advocate something called a community-based strategy. How do you think this works, and what really are the gaps between, say, policy and action, and what are the most important challenges that you see in say, recent times and also in coming future?
Thank you so much. The first challenge that we see, work is in urban resettlement colonies in Delhi with children with disabilities. And the first thing is getting the child out of the home and to the school, because it's not easy for this child. Most other children will just go with other children and reach the school. And it's not easy for this child to reach the school, first for the parents also to believe that the child has the right to education. So that's our first challenge, getting the child to school, getting admissions into school, because schools, there has been a huge change. I've been working for 35 years. In the early years, schools would balk at any child coming to school. Today, that's not the case. Children are accepted. But there are many indirect ways in which, schools can also, who will look after this child? One of the biggest worries that parents have, who is going to look after my child in school? So that's another big barrier. Once the child reaches school, then how do you welcome this child? Do you have ways of teaching the child along with other children, understanding that there is no one way of learning or teaching, and that great diversity? Very often children say, in all our reports that we have done, and we constantly try and understand the situation of children with disabilities in the education system, I find that one of the big issues is that of bullying and violence in schools against the child with disabilities. Very often participation in activities, for example, if there is a show, or if there is sports, or you're going to the library, or there is a lab, participation of this child, having reasonable accommodation. These are, what happens then is children, if they are not included, not only in the studies, but in the school atmosphere, in games, in have friendships, then very often children or families then drop out of school. So that has been our experience. But I think when I talk to children also, all children want to go to school and be part of that education system.
I'll take some questions from the audience. Madhuri Patle, is she here with us? Yes. Would you like to ask a question?
Hello, I'm Madhuri Patle. My son has Duchenne muscular dystrophy and also he's on ASD spectrum. He recently got admitted in a school thanks to education department. Through the process, he got admitted in the school, and school environment is really good. What I have understood by talking with other mothers from DMD community, the older mothers also, kids who are on multiple disability, they are very scared to send their kids to school because they are not verbal, they can't communicate, so they are very scared. Though I'm pro, I believe in sending my son to the school because he will learn, he is learning from the school a lot of things. But their fear is, who will look after my son over there in the school? Will he be able to communicate if something happens to him? So luckily, if we are, like how school asked us to provide us a caregiver, what I understood from everyone is that there should be some policy in a way where government itself provides some trained caregiver, social worker, or trained helper in the school where the kids who are under the high need support, that should be provided. At the same time, how sir had mentioned that there is huge gap of special educators, because for my son, I'm actively searching for someone who can come home and can teach him ADL or ABA, where it becomes easy for me also, so that because it's a constant fight and flight situation at home with me, and that's where I think that is something is much needed, and that's where everybody should work together. Again,
Radhika,
about
you deal with children with multiple disabilities, psychosocial disabilities too. I mean, this is a very important. I mean, how do you? She is very intent on sending her child, but of course, these fears are very valid. How do you deal with a situation like this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is what we've been saying for quite some time. Even the law, the 2016 Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act, it doesn't only, in the education system, is not only teachers. It's all the personnel in the education system. And we do need personal assistance. So the law also talks about training everybody, not only the teacher, because it's the whole school community that is there. And I totally agree that for many of our children, personal assistance is required. And it cannot be an ad hoc thing. It has to come by policy. We have to have in our schools people who can support the child and not the parent. Very often in some government schools, the mother is asked to sit with the child. Now, mother can't sit with the child all the time. So we do need those other people. And that's something that we've been asking for, so that parent also feels my child is getting looked after. If there is any need, that is what inclusive education is all about.
Clearly, one thing is that true inclusion needs to go beyond ramps and policies, and I think most importantly, we need to build safe educational spaces where every child is heard and every child feels safe. Thank you, Mahantesh. Thank you, Radhika. Thank you, Nilanjana. Thank you, Nipun, for joining us.
Thank you.